Nine Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room. Up next, CNN Tonight.
Tonight, as the global climate change conference opens in Copenhagen, the White House takes a major step toward regulating greenhouse gases, whether Congress likes it or not.
The overwhelming amount of scientific studies show that the threat is real.
Yet there is growing skepticism and questions about leaked emails and their impact on the worldwide drive to stop climate change. The Obama surge in Afghanistan. The nation's top uniformed officer warns of a bloody new year.
That we've got about 18 to 24 months to turn this thing around.
The first of 30,000 troops now have their orders on the ground in Afghanistan by the end of the month. And the old sex talk, or lack of one. Why so many American kids are doing it before their parents even mention the birds or the bees.
This is CNN Tonight, live from New York. Here now, Erica Hill.
And thanks for being with us this evening. Tonight in Copenhagen, the biggest discussion on climate change in history. Nearly 200 nations are on hand for the two-week conference, which kicked off today. The goal there, a plan to save the planet from global warming. Now, scientists have been pushing for this for years, arguing that greenhouse gas emissions must be reduced before it's too late. But not all scientists agree on the man-made cause nor on the urgency. And that continues to fuel a major debate, especially here in the U.S. Becky Anderson is in Copenhagen tonight. Becky?
Well, Erica, they have come from every corner of the planet. Tens of thousands of delegates trying to get into the UN Climate Change Summit in Copenhagen. Diplomatic squabbling over the extent of cuts to carbon emissions and the funding for the adaptation for developing countries to get on board with climate change, and any treaty that's signed will be big deals here. Negotiators have got an awful lot of work to do. I hooked up with the head of the UN summit here earlier on today, and I asked him whether he thought he'd get not a political deal out of Copenhagen, but a legally binding one. And this is what he said to me.
No, we won't. I think that we don't have enough time to finalize that. I do think we'll get a very clear list of rich country targets. I do think we'll get a very clear list of what major developing countries are committing to. And I do think we'll get a very clear list of financial commitments, and then take a couple of months to turn that into a treaty.
Internationally enforceable?
Well, what's internationally enforceable, to be quite honest? You know, to what extent can you really take a world leader to court if a country fails to meet a target? But I do think there will be an incredibly strong moral obligation on countries to do what they promise here they will do.
You talk about a couple of months. What are you talking about there? What do you really mean? When's the next day? What should we know?
June of next year. We always have a conference in the middle of the year, and I think we should use that one as a sort of part two of Copenhagen, just to nail down in legal language what's been agreed here.
So let me get that right. In June of next year, you believe you'll get a treaty signed, do you?
I think we need to. I don't think we should leave it lying around much longer, because then just interest will fade.
There is a cloud over Copenhagen, and that is the controversy being billed as ClimateGate. Those leaked emails out of the British University some week and a half ago just won't go silent. I spoke to the head of the IPCC earlier today. He says that the evidence for global warming is unequivocal.
Just to set the record straight, even these emails which were stolen and hacked into at the University of East Anglia, whatever publication was being referred to in those emails in terms of a desire to leave them out, actually found their way into the fourth assessment report. So, you know, it's one thing for somebody to express anger or anguish in private. It's quite another to translate that into action. And even if somebody did, there are so many checks and balances in the processes and the procedures that we follow in the IPCC. There's not one iota of possibility that something like this would happen.
Can we be sure we're being hoodwinked? Well, we just can't say. There is no definitive answer on global warming at this point, but let me tell you, they're going to do a lot of arguing over it here in Copenhagen.
It's Becky Anderson for us in Copenhagen tonight. Becky, thanks. Well, climate change skeptics across the globe have embraced the email.